What if I told you the richest empire in history wasn't Rome, but an ancient Chinese dynasty where a common worker could live better than a European king? It sounds like a fantasy, right? Well, today we're reopening the case file on one of history's greatest economic superpowers, the Song Dynasty. Grab your magnifying glass, because we're about to investigate the mystery of its incredible wealth. Our first clue takes us to the fields. The Song Dynasty wasn't just planting seeds, they were engineering an agricultural revolution. Picture this: while much of the world was struggling with famine, the Song were introducing new, fast-ripening strains of rice from Vietnam. This meant they could harvest not just once, but twice a year. Double the harvest, double the food. They also developed incredible new tools, like the curved iron plow that was easier to pull and more efficient, and complex irrigation systems powered by water wheels that brought life to previously barren land. They were using human-powered chain pumps to lift water, turning dry hills into fertile terraces. The result: unprecedented food security. They had so much food that large portions of the population could stop farming and move into cities to do other things. They basically solved world hunger before it was cool. This agricultural surplus was the bedrock, the foundation upon which their entire economic empire was built. With everyone well-fed, society had the energy and manpower to aim for something bigger. Now, let's follow the evidence trail from the farms to the workshops and markets. Which brings us to our second clue: a massive technological and commercial boom. The Song Dynasty was an innovation powerhouse. Let's talk about money. Literally, they invented the world's first government-issued paper currency called Jiaozi. Before this, you had to lug around heavy strings of copper coins. Imagine buying a house and having to deliver a cart full of metal. The Song government said, "How about we just give you this piece of paper that promises you can trade it for the real stuff later?" It was a revolutionary idea that supercharged their economy, making large-scale trade easier than ever. Imagine buying a latte with a stack of IOUs. The Song Dynasty did it first, but for, silk and tea. And that's not all. Their iron production was mind-boggling. At its peak, the Song Dynasty was producing more iron annually than all of Europe would be producing combined in the 1700s, centuries later. This iron wasn't just for plows, it was for weapons, tools, and construction, fueling both military strength and civilian life. Then there was their maritime trade. They've built enormous ships, some of the largest in the world at the time, equipped with watertight compartments, stern-mounted rudders, and compasses for navigation. These fleets sailed across the Indian Ocean, trading Chinese silk, porcelain, and tea for spices, ivory, and pearls from as far away as Africa and the Middle East. Their port cities, like Chuanzhou, became bustling cosmopolitan hubs of global commerce. This wasn't just a local boom, it was the engine of a globalized economy, with the Song Dynasty right at its center. So we have food and we have technology. But there's a final, crucial piece of the puzzle. Our third clue lies in the very mindset of the society, a culture of commerce. For much of history, in many cultures, being a merchant was looked down upon. You were seen as someone who didn't produce anything real, just moved goods around for profit. But in the Song Dynasty, that changed dramatically. The government actively encouraged trade and a market economy. They realized that commerce generated wealth, and wealthy merchants paid a lot of taxes. So, they protected private property, enforced contracts, and invested in infrastructure like roads, canals, and harbors to make trade easier. This pro-business attitude created an explosion of urban life. Cities like Kaifeng and Hangzhou became massive metropolises with populations exceeding 1 million people, unheard of for that era. These cities weren't just administrative centers, they were vibrant hives of activity. You could find anything you wanted. There were specialized markets for rice, fish, books, and flowers. There were restaurants that stayed open all night, offering dozens of different dishes. There were theaters, tea houses, and social clubs. A new wealthy urban class of merchants, artisans, and entrepreneurs emerged. For the first time in Chinese history, being a merchant was not just respectable, but a highly lucrative and desirable path. This shift created a dynamic, consumer-driven society where social mobility was possible and wealth could be generated not just from land, but from cleverness and commercial acumen. So, let's review the evidence and deliver the verdict. What was the secret to the Song Dynasty's immense wealth? It wasn't just one thing. It was a powerful combination, a perfect storm of factors. The case is clear. The Song Dynasty's economic miracle was fueled by an agricultural revolution that created a massive food surplus, which then freed up labor for a technological and commercial boom unlike anything the world had seen. This was all supported by a pro-commerce government that fostered a vibrant, market-driven economy. They had the food, they had the tech, and they had the right attitude. They created a sophisticated, urban, and commercialized society that was centuries ahead of its time. They weren't just rich. They redefined what it meant for a society to be prosperous. This wasn't just an empire of emperors and armies. It was an empire of inventors, merchants, and innovators. An empire built not just on power, but on productivity and trade. So, next time you think about the great empires of history, remember the case of the Song Dynasty, the economic superpower that truly changed the world. What part of the Song Dynasty's economic miracle do you find most surprising? Was it the paper money, the colossal iron production, or the all-night restaurants over 1,000 years ago? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you think. And if you enjoyed this historical investigation, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the past. Thanks for watching.